A man in suburban California receives a package with no sender. Inside is a USB labeled "Tomorrow, 9:18 p.m. He plays the footage. It shows his living room timestamped tomorrow. At exactly 9:18 p.m., the future version of him hears something behind him. The front door slowly opens. No one is visible, but heavy footsteps enter. The footage ends with him being dragged out of frame. The next night, everything begins happening exactly the same. At 9:17 p.m., he replays the video. It has updated. Now it shows him watching the footage. Behind him, a shadow moves closer. Screen cuts to black. At 9:22 p.m., the screen went black, but the images were burned into my mind. The old man in the footage, that was me. The empty house, the loneliness, the way my hands trembled as I reached for nothing. A cold dread seeped into my bones, far colder than any winter night. This couldn't be my future. I refused to accept it. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the silence of the room. I had to change it. I had to do something, anything. I stumbled to my feet, grabbing my phone. My fingers fumbled as I scrolled through my contacts. I started calling, dialing numbers I hadn't touched in years. Friends from college, old co-workers, distant relatives, voicemail, a disconnected number. The silence on the other end was a deafening echo of the silence in my future. I wouldn't let it happen. I just had to try harder. Stay tuned for part 3. The flickering bulb in the hallway became the metronome of my sanity, each stuttering pulse of light a countdown to my doom. After that first night, sleep was a luxury I couldn't afford. I'd sit bolt upright in bed, heart hammering against my ribs, convinced I saw it lurking just beyond the edge of my vision. A flicker in the periphery, a shape that melted back into the furniture the moment I turned my head. Was it real? Or was my mind, frayed from exhaustion, finally snapping? I started small. I replaced every light bulb in the house with the brightest, most sterile LEDs I could find. My home, once a cozy sanctuary, became a clinical, shadowless prison. I covered every window, every reflective surface. Mirrors were the worst. I'd catch a glimpse of my own reflection and jump, a primal fear seizing me, my own face twisted into a mask of terror. I saw its form superimposed over mine, a dark, skeletal hand resting on my shoulder. I smashed every mirror in the house, the sound of shattering glass a temporary, cathartic release. My friends, the few who still called, grew concerned. My voice, when I dared to answer, was a hoarse whisper. They'd ask if I was okay, if I needed anything. How could I explain? How could I tell them I was being hunted by a piece of the night, a void that wore a human shape? They'd think I was crazy. Maybe I was. The lines were blurring. The paranoia was a fever, and it was burning me alive. One night, the power went out. The world plunged into an immediate, suffocating blackness. The silence was absolute, heavier than any sound. And in that silence, I heard it. A soft, dry scrape, like fingernails on old wood. It was coming from downstairs. I fumbled for my phone, my fingers trembling so badly I could barely unlock it. The flashlight beam cut a pathetic swath through the darkness. I crept to the top of the stairs, peering down into the inky abyss of my living room. The scraping stopped. The silence returned, but it was different now. It was an expectant silence, a predator's silence. My light swept across the room, catching the glint of a picture frame, the pale color of a cushion. Nothing. I took a hesitant step down, then another. The floorboard groaned under my weight, a sound that seemed to echo for an eternity. And then I saw it. It wasn't just a shadow anymore. It was substantial. A towering figure, impossibly tall and thin, stood in the center of the room. It was made of pure darkness, a hole in reality that seemed to absorb the very light from my phone. It had no features, no face, but I could feel its attention on me, a cold, crushing weight. It took a step towards the stairs. It didn't walk. It glided, a silent, fluid movement that was utterly wrong. I scrambled back, tripping and falling, crawling away from the top of the stairs like a terrified animal. I slammed my bedroom door shut, fumbling with the lock. A hollow boom echoed through the wood as something hit it from the other side. Not a punch, not a kick. It was a heavy, dead impact, like a body being thrown against it. The door shuddered in its frame. Boom, again. The wood began to splinter. Desperation is a powerful catalyst. I looked at the window, the boarded-up panes a monument to my failed attempts at safety. I tore at the planks with bleeding fingers, adrenaline singing in my veins. The glass shattered as I smashed a lamp against it. I didn't care about the fall, the broken bones. Anything was better than what was on the other side of that door. The door flew open, torn from its hinges. It stood there, silhouetted against the dim light of the hallway. It filled the entire frame, a nightmare given form. It raised a long, spindly arm, a finger that was more like a talon pointing directly at me. It wasn't coming for me. It wasn't chasing me. It was waiting. It had always been waiting. I climbed onto the windowsill, the cold night air a shocking slap against my feverish skin. I looked down at the dark, unforgiving ground 2 stories below. Then I looked back at the figure. A strange, terrifying clarity washed over me. I couldn't escape it. Not by running, not by hiding, not by jumping. This wasn't a monster that could be outrun. It was a destination. A slow, raspy sound emanated from it, a noise like dry leaves skittering across pavement. Was it laughing? Was it speaking? The sound wormed its way into my brain, and with it came a horrifying understanding. This thing wasn't here to kill me. It was me. It was the part of me that had been waiting in the dark corners of my own soul. The fear, the despair, the final, inevitable loneliness. It wasn't an invader. It was a homecoming. It glided into the room, the darkness it was made of, spreading like ink in water, extinguishing the moonlight, consuming everything. I didn't scream. I didn't jump. I just stood there, on the precipice between 2 kinds of darkness. And as it reached for me, its cold, empty touch, feeling strangely familiar, I closed my eyes and let my own shadow claim me. I was, at last, going home. The silence in my apartment became a weapon, sharper than any knife. Every creak of the floorboards, every groan of the pipes was a prelude to terror. I hadn't slept in what felt like weeks. How could I? Every time I closed my eyes, I saw it. The shadow figure, featureless, but for the searing emptiness where a face should be. Last night was different. It wasn't just in the corner of my eye anymore. I was in the bathroom, splashing cold water on my face, trying to wash away the exhaustion. When I looked up, its reflection was in the mirror, standing right behind me. A long, thin arm, darker than any night, reached out, not for me, for the faucet. It turned the water off, slowly, deliberately. I spun around, my heart hammering against my ribs. Nothing. The room was empty, but the tap was dry. Tonight, it started with a sound, a soft, wet scratching from inside my bedroom closet, like long fingernails dragging against wood. I tried to ignore it, burying my head under the pillows, but it grew louder, more frantic. Then came the whispers, faint at first, like wind rustling through dead leaves, then coalescing into a single, chilling word, repeated over and over from the other side of the closet door. My name, my own voice, distorted and guttural, was calling to me, my sanity frayed. I grabbed the heaviest thing I could find, a lamp from my bedside table, and crept towards the door. The scratching stopped. The whispering ceased. An absolute, deafening silence fell over the room. My hand trembled as I reached for the doorknob. It was ice cold, burning my skin. I took a deep breath, yanked the door open, and screamed. The closet was empty, but the inside of the door was covered in deep, wet scratch marks, and arranged neatly on the floor was a single, dead black bird, its wings folded as if in prayer. I don't know what this thing wants. I don't know what it is, but I know it's not just trying to scare me anymore. It's inviting me in, and a part of me, the part that's exhausted from fighting, is starting to consider the invitation. Stay tuned for part 3. The house is silent again, but the silence is a lie. It's a predator, coiled and waiting. Sleep doesn't come anymore, just a twitchy, exhausted state of listening. I've boarded up the windows, but it's no use. The darkness outside isn't the problem. The real darkness is already in here with me. Last night, I heard a new sound. Not the usual creaks or whispers, but a soft, wet tearing. I followed it to the living room. The wallpaper, the old floral print I've hated for years, was peeling itself off the wall. Strips of it curled down like dead skin, revealing a pulsing, black void underneath. It wasn't plaster. It was a wound in the house itself. I ran, locking myself in the bathroom. But the mirrors are the worst part now. My reflection isn't always mine. Sometimes it smiles when I don't. Its teeth, too long, too sharp. Or it will just stand there, dead-eyed, while I'm screaming. A few minutes ago, it turned its head and looked at something behind me. Something in the room that I couldn't see. The whispers have started to form words, my name, over and over, like a prayer being twisted into a curse. It's coming from the drains, from the static of the unplugged television, from the space between my own heartbeats. I tried calling for help, but the phone line is dead. All I hear is a faint, rhythmic humming, like a lullaby from a forgotten, terrible place. The shadow figure is bolder now. It doesn't just flicker in the corners of my vision. It stands in the hallway, an impossibly tall silhouette, so dark it absorbs the light around it. It has no face, but I feel it watching, studying, learning me. It started leaving things for me to find a dead bird on my pillow, a single black feather on the kitchen counter, my childhood music box playing a discordant tune in the dead of night. My memories are becoming jumbled. I see flashes of a life that isn't Minna family laughing in this house, their faces slowly melting into fear. Are these my memories, or the house's? The shadow seems to feed on this confusion, growing stronger as I lose my grip. Just now, the floorboards in the attic began to groan, one slow step at a time, coming down the pull-down ladder. But I'm the only one here. I'm staring at the attic door, frozen. The footsteps are getting closer, heavier. Then, a new sound joins them, a child's giggle, distorted and cold. It's echoing from the top of the stairs. The shadow figure is no longer just a shadow. It's brought something with it. I found a photograph on the floor, one I've never seen before. It's an old picture of this house, but there's a family on the porch. A man, a woman, a small child, and standing behind them, almost lost in the shade of the roof, is a tall, dark figure. It's always been here. I'm not the first. The handle on my bedroom door is turning, slowly, from the other side. It's not trying to get in. It's letting something out.